Hi, everyone. So, today, today, today's video is going to be very different from what I normally do here on this channel. And the reason being is because I think that this is going to be useful to a lot of people out there. Because I'm sure there are many out there who experience this. I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. And I just want to share my personal experience on it. So, with that out of the way, here we go. I've been living abroad overseas for the last 29 years of my life. For those of you who are not new to this channel, you probably know that I'm not originally from the US. I was born in Brazil. I've talked about this in prior videos before, in quite a lot actually. Not in just one single video, but I talked about it multiple times. And I want to talk about the downside of living somewhere else. Okay? So this is not going to be negative or anything. It's just, things that you will experience because it's just how it works. So, first of all, there's the whole cultural aspect of things that for a certain amount of time, you're going to go through this sort of like adjustment period because cultures are different from one another in very, very different ways, many, many ways, right? So, what might be common in one culture might not even be a thing in another. So, you get what I'm saying. And that's how it is. So, there's an adjustment period. And that'll vary from person to person based on what kind of person you are, what kind of personality you have, all of these things. And then the other thing is if you're in a foreign land, and here's a good tip for anyone. Your number one priority should always be learn the language. Period. There are no excuses. Because the least you can do when you're living somewhere else is to acquire the ability to be able to communicate fully with other people. That is going to be the first thing that's going to allow you to break the ice in a lot of ways for interpersonal communication, connections that you will have with other people, and all of that stuff. Because to be honest, it's rude when you go somewhere else and you're not even able to talk to other people, communicate. So learn the language. It's the least you can do. And it will help you so much in so many ways. People are going to see you completely different once you do that. And people are going to like you for it. And this is a fact, okay? So, yeah, if you go somewhere else outside of your homeland and you are planning on living there long term, perhaps even staying there for the rest of your life, the first thing you should do, your priority number one should be learn the language. All right? But I want to talk about one of the biggest downsides. I don't even know if anyone has ever talked about these things, because it's probably not the type of content that I watch, and that's probably why I've never seen it. But over the course of these 29 years here in the United States, I have lost a lot of relatives. And I've never been able to be there when that happened, after the fact. I was always busy, always working. And to make a trip like that out of the blue, first of all, you're going to need time and you're going to need money. And in my particular case, when I had one, I didn't have the other. So it was always a problem, was always an issue, was always a challenge. And it doesn't matter how much you get used to these things, you still feel some sort of frustration and even guilt about these things, no matter how much used to it you are. So just keep that in mind, because there are many benefits, for anyone who decides to do something like this, go somewhere else and live a life somewhere else, right? Start over, all of these things for whatever reason. But keep in mind that when that type of emergency or situation like that happens, somebody gets ill, somebody passes away, it's something that you're gonna have to learn how to deal with it. The reason why I'm talking about this right now is because I have a close relative that's been hospitalized right now, and doesn't matter who it is. It's irrelevant for you guys. You don't know me, so But the point that I'm trying to get to here is these things happen, and then when these things happen, you feel it, because we are all humans, right? And you feel bad because you can't be there. You're not there. You would like to be there, right? To offer some support, be with them in the hospital, be with your loved ones. And when you can't do that, you can't help but feel. You're gonna feel it no matter what. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. When you decide to make a huge change, a huge move in your life like that, it's not always going to be flowers and rainbows and sunshine. Remember that. Because these things are bound to happen. They will eventually happen. And then you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. It's not as easy as you think. I mean, eventually, after it happens so many times, you're going to get used to it. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel it. Because one of the things about being human, especially if you're a person that is connected to your heart, you will feel these things. It bothers you. And you shouldn't feel guilty about it, okay? Let's get that clear. There's nothing to be guilty about it, because that's completely normal and natural. It's what makes us human. We feel these things. That's just a reminder that you're human. You will feel it. May not feel great, may not feel comfortable. You're still going to feel it. But don't feel guilty about it. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. When we make this type of decision making and changes in our lives, there's a reason behind it. Whether we know what the reason is or not, there's a reason behind everything. How many times have I talked about this? I lost count, to be honest. But that's true. There's a reason for everything. So when we make these things, when we do these moves and apply these changes to our lives, we just have to be mindful of it and remember that, everything that we do will have some sort of like domino effect, consequences, results, whatever it is that you want to call it. And this is going to be one of those things. If something like that happens, if an emergency occurs, somebody gets deeply ill, whatever, they pass away, and they're like thousands of miles away, there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you may be fortunate enough to, just hop on a plane and go back. But that's not going to be the realistic scenario for mostly just about everyone, except for maybe a few, right? So keep that in mind. Remember that. But whatever happens, don't put that guilt on yourself. Yes, you will feel it, and that's okay to feel it. Don't try to block that. It's going to be even worse if you do. Don't try to cope that with some sort of escape plan of like, I don't even know that a lot of people do these things, right? They go to drugs, they go to alcohol, they go to whatever it is that they can numb their minds so they don't have to think about these things or feel the feelings that will surface from all of this stuff. But don't do that to yourself. Allow that feeling to run through and just feel it all the way. And then after a while, you're going to feel better about it. But don't feel guilty. Please don't do that to yourself. And listen, I'm not saying these things here to, I don't need your sympathy. I don't need your pity. Please don't do that. That's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video to remind people that when you live somewhere else far away from your homeland, like I do, 29 years is a long time. And I haven't, really traveled back as much as I would have liked it throughout this time. Because that's just how life was for me. Right? It's not going to be the case with everybody. So if you have the means, the time, the money to do these things, by all means, do it. Don't ever second guess yourself if you have what it takes to do it. Because family is all that you have in this life. And no one lives forever. We're all going to go someday to a much better place. Of that I am certain. But we're all going to cease to exist here eventually. So don't ever second guess yourself when it comes down to family matters and things of that nature. If you have the means to do what it needs to be done so you can feel better about yourself. That's so important. I was just having this conversation with my son because, my son never got to meet anybody outside of my younger brother because he's visited me here a couple of times and it was great. But everybody else in my family, and I have a big family, I have a lot of cousins. I have some siblings, right? All my grandparents are gone. They've been gone for a while now. You never got to meet any of them. My grandmother on my mother's side specifically was very frustrated about that. And my mom's been that way for as long as I can remember, right? And I was having this conversation with him saying, "Listen, I don't know how you feel about this because we never talked about this, but and I don't know if you're ever going to get to meet anybody at this point unless things change for me in so many ways that I can finally do that at some point." I'm still hoping that at some point in the near future, I'll be able to do that. So at least he gets to meet some of my relatives overseas. And that's so weird and bizarre, to have family like that. And then, you have a kid that he doesn't even know your entire side of the family. He never met any of them. For him, they're all strangers because they don't know each other, right? So yeah, there's all that. So if you ever go through a situation like that, living abroad and overseas, don't ever second guess yourself if you have the means and the time to do, get on a plane and go back and see your loved ones before something bad happens and then you'll never see them again. I can assure you it doesn't feel good. There's nothing wrong with that either though, okay? That's what it means to be human. I'll say it again. That's what it means to be human. We'll feel it. Because if you love someone and then they're no longer around, of course you're going to feel it. Who wouldn't? Unless you aren't human, right? But this is really all I wanted to talk about today. So yeah, different type of video today. Totally different than what I usually do. But this is just a reminder that, there are downsides when you make this sort of decision making process in your life of moving abroad and living in a different country, like I have chosen for myself. So there are good things about it, and there's always going to be bad things about it, like the things that I just mentioned. All right? So keep that in mind. I am on my 5th day of my fasting today. I'm going to head to the grocery shop today and buy some stuff just to be ready in case I decide to break it tomorrow and then start the refeeding process. But I'll see how it goes tomorrow, how I feel about myself tomorrow. If it's okay, I might go another day, or perhaps even two, and I'll be able to resume everything on Monday. That'll be a complete 7-day cycle. If not, I might finish it tomorrow or the day after. So I'm just gonna buy some food just in case I decide to start eating again tomorrow. But this fasting was good. I always do these things when I feel the need to do it, and I never regret it. It's always a good thing to do. Clear the mind, cleanse the body completely, and reset everything. It's very good. It's a very healthy thing to do. So, this is it, my friends, okay? If you like the channel, don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. That's the only reason why I do these videos. And I will catch you all next time. Be safe. Take care. Until next time.